Raider Nation, it's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Supps. If anybody out there is looking for the best tasting protein on the market that can also give you 30 grams of protein and about 140, 150 calories per scoop, only 1 gram of sugar, head over to pandasupps.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So coming up here on the Raiders Report, Antonio Pierce wants the Raiders to add a cornerback 1 to their roster. In an article released by The Athletic, it was noted that Pierce had a strong want, a priority at being able to figure out how the Raiders can add somebody at the very top of their cornerback depth chart. I understand that the Raiders have Jack Jones and they have Nate Hobbs, and those are going to be 2 solid corners. The Raiders are losing Amik Robertson. The Raiders were also counting on Marcus Peters last season, and this team believes that adding a legit cornerback 1 is a major priority this offseason. My question to you is this, because obviously you can look at free agency. You can obviously look at the 2024 NFL Draft. Where do you go? Do you sign a cornerback 1 in free agency? If you're like, yes, Mitch, I'm typing my F. My ask is, though, if you're going to type your F for free agency, give me a name. I want to know. If you're like, nope, we're going to wait for the draft. We're going to target a cornerback 1 in the draft. I want you to type D for draft below. If you haven't seen this report, if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, AP believes that adding a cornerback 1 this offseason is, in fact, a priority. Vic Tafur says that the Raiders want an instinctive difference maker and that a player that allows the Raiders to play more zone coverage when showing man at the line of scrimmage. So if you haven't seen this report from The Athletic, here is everything that Antonio Pierce is looking for in that cornerback 1. Media types as well as fans on the couch types could easily pick out the Raiders' major needs as quarterback, offensive line, and defensive tackle. We were surprised to learn how big a difference they think a number 1 cornerback would make, and this draft is deep at that position. Jack Jones was an impact starter when he was picked up last season, and Nate Hobbs is a tough slot corner when healthy. Amik Robertson started 12 games and was effective, but appears set to test free agency, and the Raiders would love to add someone they would plug in at top of the depth chart, an instinctive difference maker that would allow them to play some zone coverage when they are showing man at the line of scrimmage. So as it stands right now, here's the Raiders' cornerback depth chart. And there's going to be some players that are leaving. There's going to be some players, obviously, that stay, but Amik Robertson is a free agent. Tyler Hall also is set to hit the free agent market as well this offseason. But Brandon Faison, you can cut him, save some money. I don't trust Armstrong. Sam Webb is a Josh McDaniels guy. Jacorian Bennett was drafted by the Raiders. There are so many question marks at the cornerback position for this organization. So coming up here, I'm going to look at some potential cornerback 1s that the Raiders could draft. And to me, there are only 4 names. Like 4, I'm talking, if the report is based on legit cornerback 1, like a guy that I would be confident putting on an island, letting him do his thing, and acting like a cornerback 1 opposite of Jack Jones, there are 4 corners that I have that confidence in, and you're going to see those names. But based on the Athletics report, it does seem like that this is going to be a need that they addressed in the draft, or that they addressed in the draft. Because when you look at the free agency corners, I don't love them being cornerback 1s. Now, there's some good value, and I'll talk about some of that value, but overall, it sounds like the Raiders are once again going to be looking at the cornerback position in the draft. If you haven't already joined the Raiders Report family, please make sure you do so. I got it tatted on me just like I know a bunch of y'all do as well. So believe me when I tell you, this is a fan base that has proven to me time and time again that you don't got to be blood to be family. And if you're looking for more Raiders draft news, I got you covered. If you want analysis on why, like Antonio Pierce, like anybody can say that Antonio Pierce is looking for a cornerback 1. This show is, I'm going to tell you that, but I'm also going to tell you, here are some corners that the Raiders can target. If you like those type of shows, then I believe I'm the show for you. So there is only 4 corners that the Raiders should consider in the 2024 NFL Draft to be legit number 1 corners. You're going to be able to find some other players later in the draft, and they might have to end up being your starter. But if it's based on the report and the report alone of legit number 1 corner, then to me there are 4 corners the silver and black need to keep in mind. The first name that I'm going to bring up here is Nate Wiggins. For people that watch the show often, you don't know that Nate Wiggins has been and always will be, I guess, for this year, my number one corner in this class. Now, he is unfortunately batting a little bit of an injury right now from the combine. He's expected to be more than okay, though, for Clemson's pro day. I do want to break down why I love these players, but I also love to give you guys a different opinion, and one of the best in the biz is Daniel Jeremiah, and this is what he had to say on Wiggins. Wiggins is tall, long cornerback with outstanding speed. He is effective in press coverage. He gets his hands on receivers, but he'll need to let go earlier at the next level. He is a fluid mover and has plenty of deep speed. He can locate and play the ball down the field. He will have concentration lapses at times, trying to peek back at the quarterback, which makes him lose position. From off coverage, he is efficient in his transition, and he closes in a hurry. I was a little disappointed in his lack of aggression against the run. He is content to hang on block at times, and his effort to chase from the backside is spotty at best. Some of this could be due to a high play counts, but it's still bothersome. Overall, Wiggins is dripping with athleticism and physical traits, but he needs to be more invested in the run game. We know how the Raiders are with Marcus Peters. He will have to be a little bit more invested in that run game, but if you're able to get him early in the draft, I think it's a good pick to look at. Another name to consider is Terrion Arnold. I had a scout reach out to me at the NFL Combine that said that he personally thought that the biggest winner at the cornerback position, maybe outside of the next name, but the corner that he's most confident that gets taken number one off, or is the number one cornerback taken off the board, is Terrion Arnold from Alabama, based on things that he said, what he's done, and the tape that shows it. Daniel Jeremiah on Arnold said Arnold has ideal size, speed, and instincts for the position. He plays both outside and inside at the nickel. He is effective in press coverage and off coverage. He is fluid to open up and mirror and press. He has plenty of speed to stay in phase on deep balls. From off coverage, he has quick and smooth pedal, and he doesn't waste steps in his plant drive. He's also effective playing with a side turn, anticipating routes before cutting them off. He has outstanding ball skills, and the production, 5 interceptions, 17 passes defended in 2023, reflects his ability. He is a physical face-up tackler. He doesn't miss tackles in space. Overall, I struggle to find much to criticize in Arnold's play. Despite his lack of experience at the position, having arrived at Alabama as a highly regarded safety prospect, he has all the tools and traits to be a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback. I will admit, out of all the corners that I am going to talk about today, the one that I believe would be the best fit with Patrick Graham, the corner that I believe is the best fit with Antonio Pierce and their mentality, is probably Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. Let's go to the next name here. It's Quinion Mitchell, hell of a last name, and he's really shot up draft boards this offseason. I knew that Mitchell was a good player. I had him in one of my mock drafts earlier this offseason. However, I did not anticipate that some people think that he could be a top 15 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. He crushed it at the Senior Bowl. He crushed it at the Combine, and he's showing that, you know what, some of these small school guys, they deserve your attention. Mitchell has excellent size, giggity, size, speed, and toughness for the position. He is at his best in off-man coverage, where he plays out of a side turn and eyes the quarterback through the wide receiver. He is very situationally aware, selling at the sticks before triggering on the ball. There's a noticeable burst when he drives downhill. He has plenty of speed to turn and carry go routes. He also can quickly restart and recover versus double moves. Occasionally, there is a little tightness when must flip his hips down the field. He has exceptional ball skills. See his tape from 2022 when he had 5 interceptions, including a pair of pick sixes. But he wasn't challenged very often in 2023. I love his desire and physicality against the run. He never hangs on blocks, and he bursts to the ball carrier before coming to balance and collecting tackles. Overall, Mitchell is a feisty competitor with outstanding speed and a history of ball production. I'll give you the final player here that I think the Raiders could target in the draft to be a cornerback one, but I do want to tell you about today's sponsor, Panda Sups. And I have recently just received the mint chocolate chip and the cinnamon toast crunch. And let me just tell you, the mint chocolate chip might be my new favorite protein on the market right now, and you can get it for 20% off at pandasups.com. All you got to do is use code Raiders to be able to get the hookup. And I've recently, you guys know that I bought a Ninja Creamy. You mix this with milk, and some scoops of that, you get a high-protein ice cream, and you're not even going to believe how healthy it really, truly is. If you're more of a Cinnamon Toast Crunch fan, which I get, both are good, and one of my favorite things about both of them is there is actual chunks of cereal, in the protein. There's also chunks of, cookie from the mint chocolate chip one, and What's wild is you're going to eat it, and you're going to be like, dude, there's just no way that this is healthy for me at all. I'm here to tell you that, guess what? It is actually very healthy for you. You can get 30 grams of protein, 4 grams of carbs, 2 grams of sugar, 1 gram of fat, 150 calories, and it's also a multi-stage fast and slow release type of protein. So it's great for if you're trying to curb your appetite. It's great after a workout. Bottom line, if you got a sweet tooth like me and you need some new protein, go try it out. The guy who owns this company is also a Raider fan. So if you support real ones out there, go to pandasupps.com, use code Raiders. Let's go to the final player that I think the Raiders could target to be their cornerback 1 in the draft, Ennis Rakestraw. And this is another player that I'm starting to learn more and more about. He is from Dallas, Texas, which I know a few people that actually know him personally, and if the Raiders do end up drafting him, there's a chance that I might be able to get him because one of my friends is good friends with him, and I've made a connection through that. Anyway, though, Daniel Jeremiah, what he has to say on Ennis Rakestraw. Rakestraw is a rangy, fluid cornerback who plays with energy and toughness. He is physical in press coverage, and he stays attached underneath it vertically. He is a loose athlete who can flip his hips smoothly. He does a nice job staying on the deep routes, and he can locate the ball. I'd like to see him do a better job of finishing with the ball instead of simply poking away at it. He is awesome against the run. Not only is he quick and key read, but he attacks blockers, including offensive linemen. Watch the Georgia tape from this past November to see him thud off an offensive tackle before delivering a physical stop. He is always bouncing around. His energy is palatable through the screen. Overall, players with this profile at this position traditionally translate very well at the next level. So to me, I want to know from all of you, who is the best corner in the 2024 NFL draft? My number 1 corner in this year's draft is Nate Wiggins, okay? I will admit, though, he might not be the number 1 best fit with the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you're looking for a pure cover corner, I do think Wiggins is going to translate well. If, and this is important, based off of what Antonio Pierce wants, he wants somebody that gives him a little bit more versatility, and he wants somebody that they can put up near the line of scrimmage, and he wants somebody that can hit. Arnold, Mitchell, and Rakestraw might be the better fits for what the Raiders are looking for, but I do say overall, the best corner this year's draft, I am going to stick here with Nate Wiggins. If you want to see what my cornerback rankings are, luckily, I got them right here for you. And to me, there's a lot of really good cornerback depth, and whether Las Vegas wants to take any of these guys, like if you told me right now Ennis Rakestraw is available to the Silver and Black at pick number 44, I think that might be a more and more an intriguing option for them to potentially look at. Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Kamari Lassiter are also some names to keep in mind for at pick 44. TJ Tampa, Cam Hart, Kalen Carson, I would say at this point are more of names to keep in mind for round 3, round 4 of the 2024 NFL draft. So coming up here, we're also going to look at some corners that the Raiders could potentially sign in free agency, because if you can't get your guy in the draft, or if you're not sure, if you're not in love with any of these cornerback ones, and if Antonio Pierce is saying that it's a priority, that tells me that they're going to make it a priority. So where the Raiders are currently at and with free agency, Jalen Johnson, franchise tag. L'Jarius Sneed, franchise tag. So to me, there's only a few players that you could even consider that could be maybe cornerback ones on this team. The first name, and I'll now say probably the top corner on the market here for Las Vegas, is Kendall Fuller. He is not getting up there in age, but he is one of the older corners coming off a solid year with the Commanders. And if you're going to have a good year with that defense, I'd be really interested to see what you could do in Las Vegas. Steven Nelson is another name to keep in mind. He's 31 years old, though it's expected that the Texans do their best to keep him in-house. And from what I understand, him and D'Amico are pretty tight. Another name here, it's the last name that I'm going to talk about, is Adoree Jackson. And Jackson is one name where I'm not saying he's a cornerback 1. It would still be somebody that I would like the Raiders to go out and still draft a corner. But Adoree Jackson back in 2021 had the best season, had his career year with Patrick Graham with the New York Giants. He has battled a lot of injury issues. However, when he's been healthy, he's been a productive player, and he also gives you a lot of versatility, which I know is very important for Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham, Tom Telesco in this upcoming season for the Silver and Black.